When assessing edge rushers, are there any attributes or physical traits that point towards future success in the NFL? That is a question I've received a few times here on this channel. Is there a perfect blend of height, weight, and athletic traits for the edge rushing position? Is there something that NFL organizations are looking for there? Because in the modern draft era, I can count 14 separate players who have been drafted number 1 overall as what we would call edge rushers. That list would include modern players such as Trayvon Walker to Myles Garrett to Jadeveon Clowney to even Mario Williams. It would go all the way back to Penn State's own Courtney Brown, and then all the way to all-time greats like the Bruce Smiths of the world and Ed Too Tall Joneses of the world. The issue with defining this for you guys is the fact that the term edge rusher in itself, it's a little ambiguous if I'm going to be honest. It's a word that can have a lot of different meanings, and it's very scheme specific. Because are we talking about a guy who's going to be playing inside of a traditional 40 front, 4-3 front, where he's going to be a hands in the dirt 5 technique? Or are we talking about a 40 front or a 4-3 front that resembles the Jim Schwartz era of things and has these kind of more athletically gifted edge rushers that play more 7 techniques and wide 9s and really get off the ball fast as they one-gap their way to the quarterback? Are we talking about the complexity inside of something like a 30 front or a 50 front to where you could have technically an edge rusher or a defensive end that's going to align himself in a one-gap system like a 4-eye and an eagle front, or a 2-gap system like an Okie front where he's a 5 technique? And then you get into the wild and crazy, world of what do you say and what do you do about guys such as your overhangs, or as I called them back in the day when I played, your stud backers, the guys who stand up and are on ball, your Hassan Riddicks, your Von Millers, your Micah Parsons, those type of players. Depending on what you are talking about, the definition is going to change drastically. But what I can say is this: since basically the last 10 years in the NFL, 3 guys have really been taken number 1 overall. And there are some very obvious traits to these players. What stands out to me is the fact that they're about 6'4" to 6'5"-ish, 265 to 275-ish. They have roughly 10-inch hands or greater. They have 34-inch arm reach or greater. And normally they have a wingspan of 80 inches or greater. Basically put, these are very long and athletically gifted guys that are going that high in the draft. When you take a look at their 10 splits, you take a look at their broad jumps, which are normally over 10 feet. You take a look at their verticals, which are normally over 35 inches. These are very long and crazy athletically gifted guys in Trayvon Walker, Jadeveon Clowney, and Myles Garrett. Doesn't mean that the success rate works out per se. It's just the attributes that seem to have gone that high in the draft. That brings us to today's topic. I'm going to expand upon the scope at which we're looking at and include the top half of the first round, basically meaning top 16 picks, and then take a look at Philadelphia's own, a guy who broke Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee, the SEC. All this, accolades he came out of college with and became the 14th overall selection in a 2017 draft. I'm here to talk about Derek Barnett and his future with the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, guys, let's get it. What's up, Cerebral Football fans? My name is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Channel. Do you believe in stories of redemption? That's what I'm asking here. I'm not talking about I'm not a self-help salesman here, guys, but I am talking about a story arc that involves redemption. We are talking about a player who was once upon a time a top 16, top half of the first round draft choice selection who on his rookie season was an integral part of a pass rush, a rotation that won a Super Bowl. We're asking him again, hey, can you step into a role that is very similar to that? Can you be an integral part of a rotation at the edge that doesn't feature you to be a primary guy? And can you give us meaningful production? Can you change somewhat of the narrative around your name across the league? Can you be viewed a little differently following this season? Can we get you back on course to get a paycheck either in Philadelphia or outward? And that's the tough part about this, right? Because if Derek Barnett does receive a story of redemption, if Derek Barnett is really, really productive on the season and kind of regains that pass rush ability, if he starts to kind of show you a little bit there, It does make it difficult of what you do past this season, doesn't it? Because that's probably going to pique the interest of other organizations. If other organizations are going to have playing time to offer him in terms of being the primary edge rusher on their team, perhaps even Derek Barnett would probably like to play a little bit more as a natural 5 technique, or maybe a little bit more into like a Jim Schwartz type role where he's going to play a lot of 7 and wide 9 as opposed to being an overhang in this, Vic Fangio style system. That's what I could see, guys. That's going to be the difficulty if he does actually go through this, narrative and achieves that redemption. It's going to make it kind of challenging following this season. And we might be in a situation that where even next year, once again, we're going to have to find some answers in terms of the pass rush. So what is he in terms of the system? And there's a lot of, projection here. There's a lot of guesswork that has to go on here because we haven't had an opportunity to really assess Sean Desai's, the Philadelphia Eagles coordinator, in terms of his defense. We don't know. We only know what he did a little bit in Chicago, and we know his lineage, the coaching tree he came out of. But we don't know what he'll be in Philadelphia, and it's a little bit of guesswork, no doubt about it. What I will say is the last couple of seasons, the Eagles have played some very standard roles with their edge rushers. On the left-hand side, which is generally speaking considered the strong side, right, the Sam on-ball backer. That's a little bit more of your twitchier, speedier guy, the really quick twitch dude. That's your Hassan Reddick roles, right? The Von Miller back in the Vic Fangio days in Denver. And then if you look to the Eagles' right side, it's a little bit more of the traditional defensive end mold that they play there. That's your Josh Sweats. That's your Derek Barnett. That's your Brandon Graham side of things, right? You go back to Denver. In Denver, that was the Bradley Chubb side of things with Vic Fangio. So I just told you, Derek Barnett, in my opinion, if you went to a more traditional Vic Fangio-style system, he's likely going to be one of the backups coming off the right-hand side, backing up Josh Sweat. But I think we're all underneath that same hope that, look, we're not asking you to necessarily sacrifice coverage to get a pass rush. Like, we understand that you got to be diligent in the way that you pull those levers in terms of pressure, blitzing, and things like that. But what we are saying is like using stunts, using twist, right? Don't make it so easy to just be able to pick out exactly where these guys are. Like, if you always know that Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, and Brandon Graham are going to line up on the right side of the defense, the left side of your offense, makes it pretty easy to kind of, dictate what you're going to do from a blocking scheme. Although, we definitely dominated teams last year. So, got to be a little careful here with that. But with that said, I would like to see maybe the backup guys, like when you get to the Nolan Smiths, when you get to the Brandon Grahams, when you get to the Derek Barnetts, man, move them around. Move them around. Make it a little hard to figure out where they are. Maybe play Derek Barnett down, actually, hand in the dirt, 5 technique stance with a guy playing outside of him. Maybe allow Derek Barnett sometimes to play off that left side as well as the right side. Same thing with Nolan Smith. Move Nolan Smith up into the A gaps or the B gaps, right? Kind of coming off ball, then up onto the line of scrimmage, kind of giving that motion effect, right? Making it hard to know exactly which 4 players are coming, on any given down or distance for you. I would like to see them get a little flexible in terms of the way that they approach games like that. Derek Barnett, man, this is, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, guys. There's a chance that someone comes calling and they, have more playing time to offer Derek Barnett. Maybe they have a better, opportunity for Derek Barnett in terms of gaining that playing time and maybe gaining that arc of the story than what we can offer him. So we do have to be kind of careful about that because there's no guarantee he's even going to be on the team. But if he is on the team, I do believe this is very much an opportunity for a redemption story. I can't say if it'll be realized or not, guys. Who knows? I'm not here to say that a guy is or isn't going to do anything. I just wait for it to happen on the field and tell you what's happening. Grade it out that way. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention, guys, and I'll see y'all on the next video.